Hi there, it's Sandra, and you are listening to the podcast A Duchess Like Us. Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of A Duchess Like Us, a podcast that reports positively and fairly on Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. So today I have my co-host with me. So ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Nelly, and I'm still here for the Sussexes. To me, they're still their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and yeah, still here for them.
I'm Gayle, known as Breakthrough Diva, at Breakthrough Diva on Twitter, and just like Nelly, I'm still very much here for the Sussexes, continue to be an ardent supporter of them and their work, and looking forward to see how they grow and develop the Sussex Royal Foundation over the coming year.
Okay, thank you, ladies. So this week has been fascinating, especially after the announcement last week on the 8th of January that the Sussexes were going to be stepping back from being senior royals. So there was loads of fake outrage from the UK press because the Sussexes and not the UK press had decided that enough was enough and they wanted to leave and make a new life for themselves in North America. So yesterday, which was Saturday, the 18th of January 2020, the Queen released a statement via Buckingham Palace, where it was announced that the Sussexes were to withdraw from all royal duties. They would no longer be working royals. They would, however, be keeping their patronages, but Harry would no longer be keeping his military appointments because he isn't a working royal. Because the Sussexes want to be financially independent and because they want to earn their own income, they have decided not to use their HRHs. Now, let's make this very clear. They have not been stripped of their titles or Harry, his dukedom of Sussex. Harry and Meghan are still HRHs. Harry is still a prince of the United Kingdom and the Duke of Sussex. Meghan is still the Duchess of Sussex. It's just that they will no longer use their HRH titles because they'll be able to earn their money from the commercial sector. Finally, the couple have decided to repay the sovereign grant the £2.4 million used to refurbish Frogmore Cottage. And they will still use this cottage as their base when they are in the UK. So basically, that's a summary of what's been happening for the last week in the UK. And this episode of the podcast is going to be more of an open discussion. We're going to talk about basically what I've just said, but we're going to talk about how it impacts Black Brits, how it impacts the UK in general, and looking at the future of Meghan and Harry and what they're going to do in Canada, which is where I think they'll be based, and what happens when they come back here to do stuff in the UK. So, ladies, what do you think about the statement? And yeah, basically, what do you think?
Can I go first?
By all means.
Okay. Well, let me just start with a bit of a rant. Fuck you, old Lizzie. Fuck you for you to say that, for you to finally acknowledge that Meghan and Harry were under intense scrutiny, and that is part of the reason. We know that it's part of the reason why they're leaving. You know, for you to actually say that, you could have said something 3 years ago, you old bitch.
Okay, so just to protect ourselves from treason, okay. Wow.
I'm sorry, but no, this looked like this for me. Her finally acknowledging that and acknowledging Meghan as one in the family, that reads as bullshit. Okay, that reads as bullshit to me. I don't even think she remembers who Meghan is. Someone probably has to remind her she's the black one.
Exactly. Which one is Meghan? She's the black one, Mom. Oh, yes. Harry's one, isn't it? Yes. I totally agree with you, Nelly.
So no, she probably doesn't know who Meghan is. And no, for me, those parts really got my goat, because if she gave a shit about Meghan and the scrutiny that her and Harry, just if she gave a shit about what the scrutiny that Meghan was going through as a new member of the royal family and as a pregnant woman, she would have said, she could have said something, she could have done something, she could have taken her to church, as she does with her favorite flipping son.
We'll come talk about him a bit later.
No, we're talking about Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew.
Allegedly.
Okay, sorry, allegedly. We're not talking about allegedly Nancy Drew. Okay, she could have done something, to symbolize that she supported Meghan. She or Charles could have done something. We know that Baldy ain't going to do jack shit because reasons, but yeah, to show some support, those people, Her Majesty or Charles, could have said or done something, and they said fuck all. It had to take this statement for them to sit up and pay attention and have this so-called summit in Sandringham. Nah, sorry, juices to the monarchy. Vive la République.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't disagree with anything that Nelly has said, to be fair. I may not be as vocal about
or
it,
foul-mouthed.
but the content is not dissimilar. What I will say, however, is that my mum always said to me, when I was a bit of a rebellious teenager, my mum used to say to me all the time, what's done in the dark will always come out in the light. And that's exactly what is happening here with this family. You can have whatever opinion you like about Meghan, like her, don't like her, think she's the second coming or not. The fact is, you cannot escape the facts. And the facts are quite telling from the Queen's statement. First and foremost, she says, after months of consideration, they were not blindsided. This was not something that came out of nowhere. They have known for months that this has been brewing. Again, as you mentioned, the statement about intense scrutiny, they know the scrutiny that Harry and Meghan have been under. And no amount of white evangelism is going to convince me that Kate, Camilla, or even Diana back in the day received the same amount of scrutiny that Meghan received. They did not.
Oh no, they didn't.
And not just for the obvious reasons, but they were different times. We have now social media, which amplifies everything 1,000 times. So you're not just reading it in the newspaper, you're hearing it on the radio, you're watching it on TV. It's on your phone, in your hand, 24/7. That's very, very different. At no stage were anybody's children victimized the way Archie has been victimized since he's been born. That's a baby. As a mother myself, I defy anyone to come after my child and me not tear their eyes out. Right? So I think Meghan has been remarkably dignified, considering what has been going on. But the Queen is no angel. I'm sorry. I know this country loves the fact they've got a monarchy and they've got this old bird who's sitting up there, raining down on everybody, but she's no angel. The very fact that this morning, after all has been said and done, this morning she can be photographed at church laughing and joking with her alleged Nancy son is just unbelievable. They are a cold and unfeeling family. We talk a lot about the Markles, and I mean, crumbs. There's a special place in hell reserved for them. But I can guarantee that right next to them in hell is a place for the Windsors as well, because there are none of them shiny and innocent in this. And I think that is the crux of Harry and Meghan's love story. To be honest, they have both come from very dysfunctional backgrounds. Right, they both have a desire to override that and produce something a little bit more magical in the world, and that's what holds them together, because they know that between the families they've got, they ain't shit. They're lucky with Doria, and Harry may or may not be lucky with the Spencers. I don't know. We don't know enough about them to make that kind of judgment. Right, but what I do know is that statement is just showing them up for who they are. I'm one of those that I'm really, really glad. I'm glad they're going. I'm glad they've got their freedom. I'm glad they're going to continue to do the way people are carrying on. You'd think that they're leaving to go and set up a blinking market stall in Elephant and Castle Market. The way they're carrying on, and selling the Queen's flipping underwear. But that's not
or
who
milk.
they are. Yeah, or
Oh,
milk.
yeah.
I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, of course, we've just seen today that Anne's son, Peter Phillips, is talk about merching and commercializing the royal family and trading off his connections. He is not an HRH. He wasn't given a title. So the fact that him and his sister are brand ambassadors for so many countries, so many companies trading off their royal connections, because that's what it is, and earning an absolute fortune, but no one's saying anything about that. That's okay. The man's selling milk, dressed up as, a butler, dressed up as a king, dressed up as a this, outside this castle, with horses and carriage. What a nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Quick question. It's called Jersey. It's called Jersey milk, or Jersey cattle, or something.
Jersey
like that,
cattle, yeah, Jersey cattle, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be absolutely cool if Meghan and Harry were merching something British. I think people would be absolutely fine with that, because obviously Jersey sounds like, the Isle of Jersey, which is of course British. So people should not have any issues with that if they're cool.
But
with
it's not, though.
This motherfucker is doing.
But the thing is, it's not. It sounds British, but his deals are brokered in China.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and this is the thing. There's so much double standard, and there's just so much stuff that to be honest, we don't have any real investigative journalists on the case here in the UK right now. We've got a lot of tabloid gossipers and presenters and tittle tattlers. That's what we've got. So there's no one that's actually doing the job of being able to say, well, hold on a minute, this is the real deal here. This is what's really going on. This is how it goes. It's just, the whole thing is a nonsense. I'm glad they're out of it. I'm glad they've taken their son and they've thought about their own well-being, because, as I say all the time, my daughter and her children, and possibly my nieces and nephews who are a bit older than my daughter, they're the ones who are going to benefit from this, because they're the ones who've been taught the lesson that, what, doesn't matter who it is, no one deserves to treat you like shit, and you take it. Nobody. You stand up for yourself and you protect your health and your well-being, and good luck to anyone that doesn't like it. And that's a really strong message that I'm glad that Harry and Meghan have been able to send to the majority of the people that can receive that message. Because, as we know, we got the idiots who just think, oh, they let down the Queen, Butty. That's what I say. Oh, sorry for that. Terribly sorry. Terribly sorry.
So my opinion on this whole situation is, last week when we did the podcast, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm really feeling really positive about it. So this last week, I have been like, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. I'm glad they're leaving. I'm glad they're going to make a life for themselves. I'm glad they're trying to make themselves financially independent. And then yesterday, before I was doing what I was doing, I checked my phone and it came up that they were leaving. There are going to be no royal duties and whatever. And again, I was really pleased that it was a clean break. I was so happy that it was a clean break. But at the same time, I felt, and I still do, I feel disappointed. And I don't know what I feel disappointed in. I don't know if I feel disappointed in well, I do feel disappointed in the royal family because they're fucking shit. And they're racist too. And I don't care who. I've said it. There you go. I've said it. They're racist. I'm not sure if I'm disappointed in myself. I don't know why I'm disappointed in myself, or I'm disappointed in how I feel. I'm not sure if I'm disappointed in Meghan and Harry because I'm pleased they're going. I'm not sure if I'm disappointed in the country. I don't know. I've got this feeling of disappointment. And I'm not sure if it's because I had such high hopes for Meghan and Harry that they would fulfill the role of being royals and do it well. Almost like the way Obama, I mean, I know some people don't like Obama, but I love the way Obama, when he went around the world being the president of the United States, people had so much respect for him. And I was hoping that that sort of respect would be for Meghan and Harry being royals, doing their thing because they're very good at their job. And I don't know if I feel real disappointment in that we're never going to see them on the world stage being royals.
Yes, you
I think
will.
that's what's
Yes,
no.
you will.
They'll be on the world stage being themselves, but I wanted them to be royals, part of a royal family.
This is the thing, and I think a lot of people are being very short-sighted in the sense that people have forgotten the world has changed. You can take away whatever you like from Harry and Meghan, right? What they have is they have genuinely got, and I don't even think they knew it themselves. I think it's even taken them by surprise, but they have genuinely got star power, pulling power, charisma, the X factor, call it what you like. They genuinely have that. And
yes, I agree.
They cannot, no matter what happens, once you've got that, you can't undo it.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying from a perspective of some people look up to royal families, and all they see is white. They forget that there's royal families in Africa and there's royal families around the world who are people of color. But what you had here could have been like what's the word I'm looking for? They could have been the forerunners of a modern. They are the forerunners of a modern royal couple. Which yes, we are going to see. We're going to see them in the future being themselves, being, whatever they do, they're going to be wonderful at. But I think I'm not disappointed in them. I'm disappointed that role as royals representing the Queen. Not that I'm a fan of the Queen, but being there on the world stage as royals is being taken away.
I think that, number one, let's remember the reality. The reality is they are still members of the royal family. The reality is they have still got their titles. They're still, his and her, their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The fact that they won't be using their HRH for their commercial ventures is, that's neither here nor there. They are still members.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
And I think, for me, they've got the best of both worlds for me. I'm not
disputing that at all. What I'm saying is that as a young black person growing up in the royal family and in the royal family in Europe, all you see is white. And that we had, well, there's another royal family's got a black person in there, but that's different. But we don't really see them. And as Brits, we don't really look at other European royals, which is really bad. But what I'm saying is, front and center, we had a black woman in the royal family, and she's been effectively driven out.
She has effectively been driven out from the country.
And that's what disappoints me. That's what disappoints me, I think.
I'm going to question your disappointment in terms of, and I know you've been really clear about not being sure where that disappointment is coming from or even what it's in. So, and I do get that. But one thing I will challenge, because I hear this a lot at the moment amongst Black Brits, and my response is always the same. And my response is it's all well and good being disappointed now that, you know, the one black woman that was in the royal family is now being effectively chased out. But what we have to remember is, as a black community, I think we were very slow to adopt Meghan. You know, we are the exceptions to the rules. Those of us that have been here defending, supporting, and championing Harry and Meghan since day dot, you know, we are the exceptions to the rules. But as a community, I think we've been very slow to adopt her. Number one, because she's biracial. Number two, because she's American. And number three, because the royal family doesn't really interest us. You know, I've got bigger fish to fry, is what a lot of people have been saying. However, and I think that I think as a community, we missed the opportunity to be really part of Meghan's story earlier. And I think that had we been more outspoken as a community when we saw what was happening, because we all saw it, most of us chose to either ignore it or well, we just chose to ignore it. And if we spoke about it, it was spoken about as a form of ridicule. It was spoken about almost like as a form of ridicule, as opposed to a genuine. I've had people say to me, you know, both professional people, friends, family, you know, have said to me, haven't you got anything better to do with your time? Meghan doesn't need you. You know, Meghan's got her money. Meghan's all right. She's in the palace, you know. Meghan, she ain't even black anyway. Because they thought it was about being a fan. It's never been about being a fan. It's about how Meghan has highlighted the black experiences in the UK. And
yes,
now
I hear you, yeah. But what I'm saying is, not all black people did that.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That's the point.
We never had. But my point is that we've never had a platform to say it, and it's only now that people are coming out and talking about her and supporting her and whatever. But when you think about in the UK, look at the press that we have. Would they have heard our voices anyway? I'm not defending the community that didn't support her, but I'm saying for the people who did support her, was there a platform for us to speak out on?
There's always been, look, there've been those same people who are speaking now that are using the platforms they've got now. They had those platforms a year ago. But didn't speak out. Exactly, but they didn't use them. When that woman, whose name I've chosen to forget deliberately, thank goodness, because I've normally got quite a good memory, but I've chosen to forget her name. But when that woman wrote that sketch for the BBC, that black woman wrote that sketch for the BBC where she depicted Meghan as a dark, knife-wielding, you know, ghetto reggae-rita, ready to attack Kate, you know, where was the furore from the black community then? Oh, it's jokes, man. It's just bands. I don't know what everyone's going on about, man. Now, come on, bruv. It's not that serious. Meghan's all right. You know, where was the outrage then? That was not only highly racist and insensitive, but it was really damaging to us as a community. Because do you know what that showed? That showed that they're even laughing amongst themselves at the woman. And now you want to come and talk to me about, oh, let's all embrace, and oh, it's an outrage. You know, we're all victims of racism. Yes, we are. We know that. We live this every damn day. But now we're reacting as usual. We're on the back foot when we could have been more proactive. We could have stood alongside Meghan and said, biracial or otherwise, hell no. You don't treat anyone of colour like that, and we're not having it, because we've been in this country for over 50 years. We have a space and a place. Exactly, more than that even. We have a space and a place, and if we wanted to have a platform, we could have created one if we didn't have one, but we've had one. And when you've got these nonsense right now, sorry to use that word, but when you've got these twats right now in the public arena coming out and saying, oh, racism doesn't exist, and I'm not talking about the white people, because I can actually excuse them, because of course they think it doesn't exist, because they have no experience they have no experience. Sorry, that's my phone ringing in the background. They can't that's better. Yeah, they don't know what it is, because they don't experience it. But when you've got people of color saying racism doesn't exist because they've got to a certain social strata, and they now need to keep their membership card going, oh, it doesn't exist. When they were on the way up, though, it did. It existed then.
You can say it for a lot of people, yeah. But it still doesn't explain my disappointment, and that's what I'm
It
saying. I'm just saying that I just feel disappointed, and I feel disappointed for them. I feel disappointed for us as a Black community. I just feel disappointed in the whole situation, because it should never have been that way. But more than anything, I can't stand that royal family for letting this happen.
They weren't the only ones. They were the main perpetrators. But
they could have stepped in. They've all got contacts with the various papers and whatever, and they could have even if they couldn't have stopped it, they could have said something, and that burns me more than anything. So when Meghan and Harry finally do leave and go to North America, I'll be following them still. I'll be supporting them, but I don't give a shit about the royal family, because they're done as far as I'm concerned.
No, they're bad vibes. Well, they've been bad vibes from jump, but they really showed their ass this time. They really did.
Yeah. So I'm not. So as I said, I'm just at the moment I'm really disappointed. So I'm hoping next week I shall feel better about the whole situation, because I know they've made the right decision. The thing is, I know they've made the right decision, and it's the best decision for them, and hopefully they'll be safer and happier in Canada.
Yeah, my one preface is this: they need to stay in Canada. I can't I think they need to stay in Canada, just to keep the whole. If they move to America, I think that's when shit will go left. If I'm being honest, if they move to somewhere like California, which is of course where Meghan's from.
Yeah, but I can't see
that.
I can't see that because there's been nothing about them that even suggests that. That's a press narrative about, oh, she wants to be Hollywood and blah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that she wants to be Hollywood, and trust me, I am not running with that shit.
Exactly.
Fuck that. I'm not running with that. But it's not necessarily California, but it could be New York as well. They're
not going to go to New York. They're not going to go to New York, because they'll get chased down by the press and stuff there. So it's not going to be New York. They'll probably stay in Canada.
Yeah, I think Canada is a safer bet. But
also it's a Commonwealth country, so
exactly,
it makes more sense.
And that's exactly. I agree. Yeah,
it makes more sense that they stay in Canada. I was actually on the phone with a Canadian friend of mine who actually lives in British Columbia, in Vancouver, and she's actually going to listen to the show. So hello, Jordan. She, while she understands and empathizes with their situation, her issue would be the security bill, and if they as Canadian taxpayers will have to fork out something, she won't be happy about that. And I don't see that happening, because they're
I personally that's a press narrative. I think that a deal will be done, and it'll be the Brits will be paid for the security. It won't be the Canadians. I think the Canadians may have their Mounties or whatever it is looking after them, but I don't think it will be. I think the Brits will be paying for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just think that's another narrative for the press trying to divide and conquer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I can't really see that happening personally, but there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of course Canada is all about leaving the Commonwealth. So I mean, if they, as although they're technically speaking no longer royals because they're not doing royal duties and all that, if they set themselves up there and are doing great, amazing work within the Canadian community, that they'll be, whichever city they settle in, I could see the Canadians taking them into their hearts and, be very welcome. Well, obviously they're very welcoming to them, but I could see them really adopting them as their own.
But I think the Brits here, did adopt them, it was the UK press that
didn't.
decided that unless they submitted to the will of the UK press, they were going to destroy them. But they didn't destroy them. So they've gone to Canada. They'll do much better there. I just think the UK press has showed themselves to be the racist press that they are. And it's quite ridiculous. They are ridiculous.
And also the royal family for showing that they will bend to the will of the said British press. Because I mean, look at Canaan and Abel, showing more of their kids and all of that.
I just can't.
Did you? Sorry, I've got to say this. Did you see them doing their first royal engagement this weekend?
God.
And they were trying. She was hugging and all the rest of it. And I just thought, how pathetic are you? How pathetic are you? You can't even copy and paste properly. You just, did you know what I mean? Oh,
Control C and Control V if it doesn't work automatically.
Do you know what I mean? Oh my Lord, they were pathetic, and it's like, and you're putting all your eggs into that basket. But Jesus, we've got the lazy duo. Oh Lord God!
Let's not be fooled. You know, I to be honest, I want to spend as little time talking about them as possible, to be honest. But just one thing, I will say one thing. It has been quite heartwarming to read quite a few opinion pieces in the press this weekend, where people have acknowledged that not only are Harry and Meghan superstars, but Kate and William do not have that star power. They do not have. They do not have the work ethic even. They just haven't got it. But that's what the British people want. They want mediocrity. That's what they're used to. But they are. And we see it at every level of our social strata. We see it amongst children, right? Amongst children in the school playground. You get someone who's an absolute whiz kid at school and the other kids bully them. And that follows them through to the workplace. You get someone who's really good at what they do, and a whispering campaign starts. It's exactly the same. And Meghan, you know, Meghan's biggest crime, aside from being a black woman, I mean, that, to be honest, I genuinely think, my personal opinion on this is that if Meghan had been like Kate, but still biracial, it would have died down eventually. Right? Meghan's biggest crime, aside from being biracial, that was just like the icing on the cake. That was just like the gift that just kept on giving for the media. But her biggest negative for the press is that she's intelligent. She's intelligent and she's articulate and she's confident. She's not afraid to voice her opinion. She's not afraid to get out there and do good. And dare I say that awful word that they've adopted and tarnished in the newspaper. She was basically too woke. She brought an awareness. She brought an awareness to many situations, projects, and initiatives, and she worked in a way that created immense impact. And they were like, "Who the hell is this whiz kids?" You know, she's supposed to be all about the hair, beauty, and dresses and tiaras. You know, why the hell is she talking to us, turning up in jeans, wanting to talk about getting women out to work? You know, what do you mean she's getting her hands dirty in an apron and actually putting together a cookbook that's raised over $500,000? That's not, you know, what the hell she thinks she did? And she's black. You know, that was her biggest crime.
Yeah.
And what made it worse as well, I mean, literally, she has been manna from heaven for the tabloids, you know, for the newspapers. She's been manna from heaven because she's got a crappy family. She's got a sperm donor there that doesn't know how to keep its mouth shut. You know,
and the cripple who's was worse. I'm sorry.
I can't even.
Listen, those two are even more. Well, the three of them, the unholy trinity. You know, you've got Bad Dad, Hot Wheels, and Toxic Junior.
Hot
Sorry,
Wheels.
Bad Dad.
I've nicked that
Hot
from I've
Wheels
got that from a
and
tweet from
Toxic
somewhere, and
Junior.
someone put it in a tweet, and I loved it, and I've kept it
I
from
love
time.
that.
So
That's
anyway,
Bad Dad, Hot Wheels, and Toxic Junior. TJ, love it,
TJ.
love it, love it, love it, love
I
it.
can't remember what who tweet it's from, but anyway, I got it from there and I loved it. But they're so stupid now that Harry and Meghan will no longer be working royals. Those idiots, Markles, they really think they're going to get any money now. That's how thick they are.
The only money they'll get is from talking shit on Meghan, which is hot
what they're
business
doing
right now.
But there's
Yeah, which
nothing
is
left
hot
to talk
business.
about. Hot Wheels can't do anything else, can she?
But they make it up, as we've seen. I mean, again, let's not spend too much time on them. But again, he's got this Channel 5 documentary. He was talking on. He was talking about. Was it something about their Shabby and Walmart? I mean,
Shabby.
No, seriously.
Coming from them,
seriously,
Shabby and Walmart.
Exactly. Seriously. I mean,
No, that motherfucker called. Listen, he called them chavvy. I wonder where he got that word from.
Thank you, because that's not an American word.
It's not an American word.
Not at all.
Because we know who his new best friends are. Okay,
Exactly.
Fucking piece of shit Morgan and woeful Wotan.
You know.
So, yeah,
my God. I saw a tweet from him. I've blocked him, and I think he's blocked me as well. But I did come across one of his tweets today, Wooden, and he said, was it? Oh, she's got what she wanted. She's been planning this for years. And that narrative is really, I mean, can we just get a bit logical here? They didn't want her.
No, you can't. No, this is the thing with hate. It's not logical.
There's no logic to it, is there? They didn't want her.
There's no
She's
logic
gone.
to bigotry. Logic. It's stupid.
And now they're saying, oh, she's been planning this for years. Apparently, she's been planning this since she came to the UK as a 15-year-old and had her photo taken outside Buckingham Palace. Well, if that's the case, you know what? There's a lot of criminals out there that need to be employing Meghan's services, because if she's been planning this since she was 15, really? I just can't.
They're just joke anyway. But what I really want to talk about, sorry, I want to just jump a section, is the fact that Meghan and Harry are going to repay the sovereign grant for the 2.4 million needed to refurbish.
Wonderful.
I think it's brilliant, because now no one's got nothing on them. They hand the money over. Nobody can touch them.
No one can't send, and they're still living there. But what I would like as an extra layer, if there's your 2.4 million, now can you give us the difference between that and the 1.6 billion?
Yeah,
that we
brought in the country
brought into the economy. So, you know, when can we expect that check? Yeah. Do you need our account details?
Just transfer it over.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad. Good for them.
Nobody can touch them now. So when they come in and out the country doing their little thing, nobody can touch them because it's their house.
It's their house.
They paid for everything. They paid for the refurbishment.
They paid for the refurbishment. They paid for their fixtures and fittings. And you know what? All this talk about security, I don't know. I have a bit like your disappointment, Sandra, where you don't know where it's coming from. I have a fear. You know, I don't even want to think about the security. All I know, and I'm going to trust and believe, is that it's going to be covered by somebody somehow, because unless the royal family really are the devil's spawn, and we suspect they are, but I'm going to try and give them a little, give them a little bit of a blie. But unless they really are the devil's spawn, you cannot have that man knowing what happened to his mother and leave him out there free like that without any protection. They just can't. So I'm going
not to mention that he's a target for neo-Nazis.
Yes,
exactly.
But that's why I think that's why they couldn't take the HRHs away from them, because that's where they get the security from.
Yeah, that's what justifies the security.
Yeah,
and that's absolutely. And so for that, I think, and let's be honest as well, just to inform our listeners if they don't know, is that Harry has wanted to leave the royal family since 2007, right? 2007. we're now in 2020. That's 13 years ago. It's long before he even knew Meghan existed, right? That's probably before Meghan started. What was it? Weaving her web of whatever it was to catch,
Yes.
whatever.
Her magic.
But
yes.
yeah, but the thing is, 2007, Harry has been really clear for a long time that the royal environment is not suited to him. He wants to get out there and do his thing and be who he is. And even in 2015, he himself has said publicly that the only reason he's staying in the royal family now is for the Queen. That was the year before he met Meghan. Harry and Meghan have met in each other. They've found in each other a comfort and a solace, but also a real empowerment of each other that just allows them to be who they are without all the baggage of where they come from. And I think it's that's really powering them on together, to create what they want to create and say, you know what, it's been a great ride, but no, this isn't for us. It's not for us. You're not prepared to call your dogs off. I'm the spare end. The man is the sixth in line. You'd think he'd abdicated from the damn throne.
I know. Isn't it ridiculous?
Yeah,
but yet still he's irrelevant.
Not even a constitutional crisis.
It doesn't affect the constitution in any shape or form.
It's all fake. It's all fake outrage from the press. It's all about the press, because I'll come back to this again and again, because they would not submit to the press, and the press has nothing on them. They vilified her, and not so much Harry. They just vilified her, and they're like bullies. They thought if they can just bully her and bully her and bully her, she'd submit, and she didn't.
And she didn't.
She didn't.
She wasn't going to.
And so that's what's killing them even more, because she said, "Fuck you, I'm off."
Exactly. And just remember this as well: for everything that we know that they've done and that's happened, that the press are trying to do to them, there are at least 10 other things we've got no idea about that they're trying to pull behind the scenes.
Yeah.
At the bare minimum.
Yeah. Because that's how the press roll. They're just bullies. Simple as.
Yeah, they're bullied that are enabled by others within the royal family. I'm convinced of we're convinced of that more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the evidence is there, unfortunately. But what's going to be interesting? I have no interest in that family now. My interest is in the Sussexes and baby Archie. All I know is that at some point there will be a headline or something that I won't be able to avoid, which will say, future king eats king, right? I'll tell you, it will be something like that, because we know he ain't going to rest until he's sitting on that throne. And she, his consort, she's not going to rest until she's next on it next to him. So let me tell you, there's going to be many a skeleton dug up, because those two, they're a match made in heaven. People say they feel sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for her.
Not at all.
If she wants to waste away and be skin and bone for the sake of a damn crown on her head, good luck to her. She wants to sanction her man having midnight suppers with the damn village. Good luck to her.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But that's the life they've chosen. But all I would say, Charles and the other one there, him and his mistress Queen, good luck, because you best sleep with one eye open, because your own son.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But it's happening now. You just have to read the press, how certain people in the press are saying that they got their sources from somewhere that said one party did one something to the other party, and basically, allegedly, the son is chucking the dad under the bus, basically. And it's like, right, you're squaring up to him already. The other one isn't out the door yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Someone's got to put their foot down quick. Someone should have put their foot down a long time ago.
Well, it won't be Queenie, that much we know, because as we know, all she's interested in is a alleged nonce of a son, right? And that's the only thing she's interested in. She's not interested in anything else. I don't know. The whole thing has gone to hell in a handbasket very, very quickly.
I hope that goes the same way for the British monarchy. I hope this is the beginning of the end.
It could very well be. It could
I
be.
hope so.
It could very well be.
Can
But,
we
you know, the monarchy's job is to survive. So,
Yeah.
you know what? If she has to throw her favourite son under the bus to save herself, she will.
Yeah. Can we talk about just can we discuss how Britain is not a racist country and how it's so tolerant? It's the most tolerant and loveliest country in Europe.
Someone said that. Who was it that said that? I actually heard some. Oh, was that Lawrence Fox?
Yep.
Okay.
That fool.
So Lawrence Fox comes from an acting dynasty that
Yep.
he.
Went to fucking Harrow.
Went to Harrow School down the road from me. Let me tell you, even if the man, I actually quite enjoy some of his performances. So I quite like Lewis. So I'm not going to say he can't act, but even if he couldn't act, he would still be an actor in that position because of the very fact of where he comes from, the entitlement, the privilege. You know, he was never ever going to struggle to choose whatever profession he wanted to go in. However, he can talk some shit, can't he?
But he's a living example of white privilege in the UK.
Oh, absolutely.
He just embodies it. You know, he's bored with racism. I wanted to get in the TV and just slap him down.
Him and William.
Him and Baldy are they're both bored with racism.
They're both bored with racism. I wish I could be bored with racism. Look, I grew up. I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s, and made my career in the 80s. Right. So we had the swinging 60s, the blinking racist 70s, and then we had, you know, the capitalist 80s. Right, yeah, the Thatcher 80s, right? So I think I'm pretty uniquely formed in this country because I was formed at a time when we had no blacks, no Irish, no dogs on.
Oh my God,
on
my mum said that. My mum said that a lot.
No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. But by the time I was working, it was a case of, look, anyone that wants to make money will embrace you, because that was the time of the yuppies. So, but having said that, I also walked home from school with the words nignog and gollywog and, you know, and all kinds of NF slogans painted on the walls. So it's not that Britain is not a racist country. Britain has evolved in its racism. So whilst we went from being quite overt in the 70s, we were then kept in control, I would say. So we had managed racism because we had the Equal Opportunities Commission, the Race Relations Act. So it managed the racism. What Brexit did was blew all that apart. You see, the moment they got rid of the Commission for Racial Equality, where do people go? Game over. And then Brexit exploded that even more. So don't tell me Britain's not racist. What we have now is that we are no longer under control, because now it's free for all. So when you've got people like James Cleverly telling me, like another man in a privileged position sitting, you know, on the right side of Boris Johnson's arsehole, telling me that there's no racism. Oh yeah, telling me there's no racism. I'm not listening to you, because I know my experience tells me otherwise, because I've walked into too many rooms and stood up in front of too many audiences where I am the only black person in that room, and I've been questioned in a way that nobody else has been. So you cannot tell me that that's not the case. And the thing is, I know he has too, but the difference between me and him is that he answered the questions from the basis that, you know what, I'm just going to pretend that my color is not an issue. I'm going to pretend that I'm not really black. I'm going to pretend that what they're saying.
He's going to pretend that he's his white father. That's what he's
right. Exactly. I'm going to pretend that what they're saying doesn't really affect me. That the blacks they're talking about is not my kind of black.
Yeah.
Right.
And what he doesn't understand is that all they see is black.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, that's all they see.
As much as he deludes himself, that's all they see is black. They don't care what shade of black you are.
They don't care. They're not interested in shade. I know that because when I was young and impressionable and trying to make my career in the media as a young 20-something, I played that game too, but you soon learn quick. You know what? It doesn't matter whether you're light skin, dark skin, or navy blue. They're still black as far as you're concerned, right? They still see you as black, and they're still going to treat you the same way. So you might as well just be yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the thing is, what you're seeing is like a lot of like, you know, black, you know, prominent black people in the UK, like Stormzy, is talking the things. He's saying exactly. He's saying that this is a racist country. What happened when he did say that? The ITV twisted his words. And of course, and the right wing press went after him, you know, and they do not want, they want black people, they want the black people here to be grateful that they're here. They want us to be grateful. I'm not grateful. You asked us, motherfucker, you asked us to be here.
Exactly.
You asked my family to come here, and my grandmother was a nurse, you know, you know, and she came over here and was working in the hospitals, you know, working in the hospitals in the West Midlands. You know, she came because the mother country asked.
That's right. They asked them to come.
Yeah. But and all too many times
that they wouldn't do.
Yeah, but all too many times, all the people from the Caribbean that came over were engineers, were teachers, were nurses, were doctors. Yeah. What jobs they get? An engineer was a porter in the train in British Rail. Yeah. The nurses. Yeah, the nurses were cleaners in the hospital because they couldn't get jobs as nurses. And when they did get jobs as nurses, they stayed on the lowest rung forever. Yeah? The teachers weren't allowed to teach, even though they were brainier than the teachers that were here already, because they had a world view, not an insular England or British view. So it when I think of my grandparents that came over in the 50s, and they were so young, and they were so looking forward to coming to the mother country, and they were treated like shit. But they worked bloody hard. They brought up my parents, and they made sure that we were okay. And I look at what's happening now in the UK, and I almost feel like this is what they went through when they came over here in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, only difference is there's no visible national front. Actually, that's a lie. It's called Question Time.
Not only that, it's called the Tory Party, because we've got Boris Johnson. You know, my local MP, who is the Prime Minister, talks about pickaninnies in their watermelon smiles. I mean, really,
such a racist. He's so racist
in this day and age.
Yeah,
and that's the man that you elected.
Yep, and whose sister described Meghan as having exotic DNA.
Exotic DNA.
You know, we got to bring that back. You know, that family. Oh yeah, and that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because their father is a racist arsehole as well, saying that I wouldn't trust a woman with a burqa to be flying a jet, not a jet plane, but like to be a fighter pilot or something like that. Like, what the fuck does her burqa or anything has to do with her being a fighter pilot? You know, fuck out of here, you old cunt. Sorry.
Oh dear. No, we can't have that one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We can't have that one.
I'm sorry.
We have to draw the line somewhere, Nelly.
I was doing so well.
Really were. It's been weeks since you've had an outburst like that.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is Britain in 2020, as racist as it was in 1950s.
Do you know what?
It's just ridiculous.
In 1992, I went to work in New York for a year, and I remember being in New York and being so proud. I was so proud to be British, a Brit working in New York, you know, and I was so proud. And, you know, and I had all the questions. Oh, do you know the Queen? Have you met Princess Diana? And all, you know, all kinds of crap questions that some Americans ask you sometimes. They do, don't you? Do you know the Queen? You know, but I was so proud. And I was thinking about that the other day, and I just thought, this is not the Britain. My daughter is not growing up in the Britain that I grew up in. You know, if I'm actively encouraging her. I want her to go abroad. I want her to go abroad to work or to finish her studies or to do something. I want her to go abroad so that she is not wrapped up in this limited, small-minded, you know, isolationist view, nationalist view that started to take hold here. Because I'm all for change. Everything I've done for the past 30 odd years of my life has been about change, has been transformation. But I don't like what I'm seeing here. I don't like where we're heading. Some of the narratives, you know, it's too small. It's too small for me, and it's too small for young people. And I think that we've done ourselves a huge injustice. I think we're going to lose a lot of talent, a lot of inherent talent. Oh yeah, you know, we're certainly losing our position on the world stage. There's without a doubt.
Yeah. And you know what will actually shit this thing up? When you start losing, when you got lots of Commonwealth countries backing the fuck out, you know,
Absolutely.
come through Canada, come through Australia, come through Jamaica, you know, drop out of this bullshit imperialist association, because that's what it is. The reason why there is a Commonwealth is a reminder that you were once colonies. You once made this country great off the backs of you know, invading countries and you know, what's the word, and exploiting its people, exploiting the land, you know, and making yourself richer. The fact that the UK, that you know, the fact that slave owners or families of slave owners who lost, you know, who you know, lost all their property and stuff after the abolition of slavery. The fact that up until 2015 they were still getting paid back, that is some bullshit right there.
But you know what I heard? I was in the shops yesterday and I had to laugh. And there's this African woman in there and she was talking about something. And someone said, oh, the price of that's gone up. The price of something went up. And she said, why has it gone up? And the shop owner went, it's because of Brexit. Things are going up because of Brexit. And she turned around and she goes, you know what? White people are going to shit themselves when Brexit comes because they're going to have to do the jobs that they get black people to do. And I thought, yes, that was it. That's, to me, that summed it up. Because they're used to getting people from Eastern Europe or from, you know, whatever, Africa or India, whatever, to do the shitty jobs. And when they chuck them all out, who's going to do it? White people.
Well, or they won't get done. It'll go back. Just remember what the country was like before they had mass immigration. You know, to be honest, the world reputation of Britain then was dirty. You know, it was seen as a pretty dirty, grubby place to live.
It was almost, you know, third world, wasn't it? It was bomb scarred. It was mashed up after the World War. After World War II, it was mashed up.
And before World War II, it was dirty. It was, you know, so the immigration has really helped Britain in lots of different ways. And, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And the problem that they felt that they had, Brexit may not have been the solution, but then I'm a Remainer. You would expect me to say that, right? But I'm all for sitting down and exploring. And all this stuff about Harry and Meghan, do not be surprised. This is all a distraction. You cannot tell me that with everything that's going on in the world right now, as we see it, just 2 weeks ago, we were on the verge of World War III. And you're telling me that the biggest talking points really for a nation are two people who are healthy, strong, fit, want to protect their family and their own mental well-being. That is bigger news than the stupidities going on with Trump and his foolishness, with Boris and his foolishness. That they're really bigger talking points than Brexit, than what's going on with
What
with
about
Iran.
in Australia? What about in Australia? Australia is burning. Australia is burning
for 3 months.
Yeah,
3 months those fires have been going on, and you're telling me that really this stuff that they want us all to be talking about, that we're actively engaging in, is more important The other day when I came out of hospital, I had nothing better to do. So I counted how many articles were in the Daily Mail. There were 25 articles in one newspaper about Harry and Meghan. And of those 25, 21 of them were about Meghan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
because
really,
she sells papers.
Absolutely
of course
ridiculous.
she does.
She sells papers, and that's what it's about, money.
That's just one publication. And there's all this stuff going on in the world. They want us, and they can see that the Harry and Meghan thing is starting to come to a close now. So now they want us to be worrying about Big Ben on the 31st of January. No.
Oh God, yeah.
Publish the Yellowhammer papers, right?
Yeah.
So we can know what's really going on with Brexit. So whilst I'm a big supporter of the Sussexes, and I will always support them, because I find them very inspirational, I'm also not silly enough to know that this is not a distraction. This is a manipulation.
It's a massive distraction.
Yeah. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Brexit will be a disaster. It will be an absolute disaster. But Brexit is not, although racism is the icing on the cake, Brexit is all about deregulation. It's about people making more money. It's about the UK becoming an offshore tax haven. That's what Brexit is all about. And the racism part of it is just the icing on the cake. It's the thing they didn't really want. That's what it's all about. And it's about the people who've got the 1% making more money and the 99% getting poorer. That's what Brexit is about.
And all the papers are doing with all this stuff. I love Malcolm X's quote. He said it perfectly. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing.
Yep.
Well, that's what's happening just now.
There we go. And that is exactly what is happening, right? Both with Brexit and with Meghan and Harry, right? They want everyone to be hating Meghan and Harry and loving the fact that this Brexit thing is going. 3 years ago, so we're in 2020, 4 or 5 years ago, nobody was even thinking about Europe, much less discussing it. Brexit, nobody had a clue. No one was interested in it. And it was a weak prime minister that, surrendered to Nigel Farage's constant demands. It's like you've got a toddler that's always, mummy, 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 and eventually you give in. And that's exactly what David Cameron did. And that's why we're here now. And Meghan and Brexit, they just formed the perfect storm. They collided at the same time, 2016. We voted in June 2016 for Brexit, and Meghan arrived on the scene in July, and that was it. And ever since then, we've just been caught in this maelstrom.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I think we've we've covered just about everything there. So podcast listeners, that was a very freestyled episode, and it took us loads of different directions, but it was a good chat. I really enjoyed that, actually. So I think that's going to be it for this episode, because we are up to our hour, and I have to edit this. So anyone got anything else to say?
Can we give a shout out to Afua Hirsch, Dr. Shola, Nova Reed?
Yes.
You are queens.
They really
you are queens. And also, I don't know what's
Amina as well. Amina
Amna Salim. Girl, I want to interview you.
Yes. Absolutely, we do. Actually. They guys stood up. Yeah,
absolute queens. They've stood up to the bullshit, and they did so well, especially Dr. Shola, who told Pip
Morgan, Pipsqueak,
Piss Moron the business. She told him the business.
And can I just echo that as well, Nelly? Because those ladies really have stood, they stuck their heads above the parapet, because we know from our own experience doing this podcast, people we've approached, most people want to bury their heads in the sand. And there's one other person as well who I personally have really woken up to, and that is Jamelia. And
Oh,
I'm going to
yes.
say this, and Jamelia, if you're listening or you ever get a chance to listen to this, I want to offer a personal apology. And the reason why I want to apologize is way back in the day, I used to follow you on Twitter and I stopped following you. And the reason why I stopped following you is because I thought you were a little bit immature, to be honest. But then, so you've always been kind of like in the background of my radar. But when I saw you on Newsnight and how you not just handled yourself, but how you handled those guests, especially that Robert Lacey, I honestly, a whole new respect has been born for you and for what you're doing, the way you're leading your girls. And this is what we want to see more of coming from our community. We want to see people standing up and saying, this isn't just about me, but it's about my legacy. It's about what I want to give back to my community. So I applaud you as well, Jamelia, and those other ladies that Nelly has mentioned, for all of you just sticking your heads above the parapet and telling it like it is.
Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for my wonderful co-host for joining me, and I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I do. Don't forget to send in your questions and all topics that you'd like to have discussed on future episodes. And if you'd like to be a guest panelist on the podcast, please reach out to me at hello@aduchesslikeus.com on email, or DM me at DuchessUs on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and please share this podcast with anyone else who you think will be interested in listening to this. If you have time, I'd be grateful if you could leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, as it helps more people to see the podcast. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you'll come back for more soon. So I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.